Biotic and abiotic factors. Today we're going to learn about abiotic and biotic factors within an ecosystem so we can explain how changes in these factors could affect a community. Let's start off with abiotic factors. Abiotic refers to the non-living factors that can affect the survival of organisms within an ecosystem. We'll start off with light intensity. Light intensity is an important factor because light intensity will determine the rate of photosynthesis that takes place in plants. Plants are producers. They produce their own glucose. And as such, primary and then secondary consumers will rely on plants. So light intensity is pretty crucial in an ecosystem. Alongside light intensity, we also need to consider the temperature of the environment. Temperature needs to be in the correct range so that the enzymes within the cytoplasm, within the mitochondria, can actually work and do their jobs. Remember, enzymes are proteins and they can get denatured if the temperature isn't as it needs to be. Okay, let's move on to moisture levels. Moisture levels in the atmosphere, we refer to that as humidity. This is also important when we talk about moisture levels in the soil. Plants need water in order to photosynthesize. As well as water, plants also need carbon dioxide. And in exchange, they produce oxygen as a result of photosynthesis. So oxygen and carbon dioxide levels within an ecosystem can affect the survival of organisms within that ecosystem. Let's move on to wind direction and intensity. Wind intensity and direction can affect the rate at which water evaporates from plants. The windier the environment, the more water evaporates out of the stomata into the environment. That can mean a plant which is desperately trying to conserve its water struggles to conserve its water. So wind, direction and intensity can affect the ability of organisms to survive. Last of all, let's go to the soil, the pH of the soil. Soil can be acidic or alkaline, and different plants require different pHs within the soil. If the pH of the soil isn't as the plant requires, then the plant might struggle to survive. In addition to the pH of the soil, we also need to consider the mineral content of the soil. Plants absorb these minerals through their roots. An example of this is the absorption of nitrates. Plants need nitrates for growth of new cells. Plants also need another mineral called magnesium. Now, magnesium is crucial in the production of chlorophyll in the leaves of plants. And that takes us back to kind of the beginning, in that chlorophyll is the molecule in chloroplasts that is responsible for absorbing sunlight so that photosynthesis can take place. The biotic or the living factors that can affect the survival of organisms within an ecosystem. Let's start with pathogens. A pathogen is a disease-causing microorganism. And if a new pathogen is introduced to an environment, the plants may become diseased and not survive. The animals may become diseased and not survive. Okay, so pathogens are a living factor that can affect an ecosystem. Predators are another living factor. Predators, introducing a new predator to an environment can have a massive impact on the food chain within that environment, and then the knock-on effect of that. So if a large predator enters the environment and consumes another organism, okay, then the population of that organism will massively go down, but whatever that organism feeds on will increase because that organism the numbers have gone down. So there can be a knock-on effect when a new predator is introduced. Availability of food is an obvious one. If food is not available, the organisms are going to struggle to survive. And that brings us to competition. Animals will compete with each other for food and for shelter and for a mate. And animals that are successful in that type of competition will survive, and those that don't, won't.